everybody. It's that time again. I hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. Got up early, I went to church with Mom, saw some of her friends, and I'm super excited to have an awesome guest today. Her name is Jazmin Tyler, and she's a wellness influencer. She creates content that really resonates. It's really interesting, actually. So I'm super excited to get her on and talk a little bit about something I struggle with, which is, hey girl, hey, how are you? Thank you for jumping on. Hydrate. Get that hydration going.
Back from a walk, so I'm like chugging water. But yeah, I'm so honored. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm like, after our call yesterday, I was like, oh, this girl, she's super fascinating. And one of the things I really thought we could talk about today, I think for people at home, it could help, is staying true to yourself, which is something that you kind of over the course of the pandemic really got closer to understanding what you liked, what you didn't like. And what was really interesting, and people are like, staying true to yourself, so cliche. I don't know if that's what people are thinking or not. I know sometimes I think those things, like staying true to yourself, what does that mean? Like, just live your life. But the pandemic for me definitely shifted a lot of things. The thing I struggle with, and I am struggling with it right now, is I need to be busy. Mm-hmm. I need to have my schedule stacked because for me, stillness is a little terrifying. Mm-hmm. And that's where I know I need to be. And I was reading a book that actually was talking about fear. Fear, if you break down fear, is actually something you're interested in. There's it piques your mind about something. So let's get right into your story, because we had the coolest talk yesterday. And for you, what I really took away from our chat was I was not expecting to have so much wisdom from somebody who's so young. Uh-huh. If you're comfortable telling your age and a little bit about yourself, I would love to, for people tuning in, tell us a little bit about who Jazz Tyler is.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm 21 years old. I'm a current student at UC Berkeley. I'm about to finish my last year. Like, I'm in my last semester, which is crazy. But I'm basically like a health and wellness content creator. I love recipes. I love staying active. But really, I try to preach balance in all forms, when it comes to food, when it comes to just living your life, which I feel like is something we really got to talk about yesterday. But I'm from Mexico. I'm currently in Berkeley. That's kind of me in a nutshell. But what you were talking about feeling the need to always be like moving and kind of like that fear of standing still. I saw this TikTok. I get a lot of like my good hard-hitting, like, not wisdom, I guess, but like little monologues from TikTok. And they were talking about how happiness, if you're always chasing those highs of joy, you're always just chasing kind of like the endorphins. But true happiness is knowing to find peace and joy in the still moments, not the ones where you're up and down. So that's how you can find a way to be just like literally doing nothing, but just like finding joy in the peace, not in like the highs and lows. Although the highs are fun, but then the lows, like, they drop down. Having like that stationary joy, that's something that I try to do. That goes into finding peace in the stillness too.
Right. Well, and dopamine actually works when you have a day that's like the best day of your life and you're on a high. Mm-hmm. Your dopamine taps out, so then the next day is low. Yeah. So I get what you mean by like the ups and downs are the waves of they can be energetically depleting. Mm-hmm. So if people don't know how to tap into the stillness, and it's interesting, Jazz, a few days ago, I was going on a hike, and I love sending voice notes to my friends, and I get really vulnerable on them. I'm like, this happened to me today, and I got upset, and I was questioning, why was I so upset about it? And I love hearing it. It's almost like kind of like self-talk therapy. And I noticed when I was about to go on my hike, I needed to do the thing. I needed to pick up my phone and do the voice note or put the song on. And I'm like, I was so proud of myself that I caught it. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just turn it all off and just hear the crunch of the ground. So my question for you is, I don't know if that's like something that is good, but I'm like, I'm going to try to do the path of most resistance. Mm-hmm. And when I feel like my busyness wants to kick in, or I want to just scroll social media, or I'm feeling like, if people were watching who struggle with this too, mm-hmm. like what works for you, or what's your takeaway on that?
I would say that I have like daily, I don't know if you know who Tinks is. It's me, Tinks. I love her. She's like an influencer, but she basically talks about her daily non-negotiables. So those are things that, even if they're tiny things, you have to do throughout your day. Even if you have the busiest day ever, you're going to go and do these things. Like for me, for example, I woke up at 7, I did my workout, I did a couple hours of work, and I was like, okay, I need to not necessarily relax, but relax my mind. So one of my non-negotiables is just going out for a walk. Sometimes I put music on, but sometimes, like you said, like just listening to your feet crunching on the pavement or the grass and like the birds, like I feel like that's something that just really centers you. And it can be a little bit uncomfortable to just like walk for an hour. Like I definitely at first I was like, okay, this is boring, but it's really like almost meditation, like walking meditation. That's something for me. I would say cooking, if you enjoy it. For some people, cooking can be very stressful, so that's not their thing. Maybe it's drawing, maybe it's reading, but just having like those daily little practices that it's kind of like a meditation, even if you're doing something, because it just calms your brain. And for every person, it's going to be different.
Yeah. Cooking is somewhat stressful for me because, again, getting vulnerable, I wouldn't even say recovering people pleaser because I'm still in that category of people pleasing. So for me, what cooking means is, it's actually quite, like if I think about it, it's a reflection of my life in that my fear or my insecurity that I have with cooking is that maybe someone won't like it. And so I have this lack of confidence there because I'm like, is it too garlicky? Is it too spicy? Ooh, and that's like the thing that I know that means that I probably need to work on it because like, I think at the end of the day, and this is why it's so fascinating because I love that I can have this conversation with you. And I think that there is no age on wisdom and knowledge, like your experience and what you went through and like how your family, you grew up in Mexico, like we're trading knowledge. Like just because I'm older than you doesn't mean that I own this space. And I think that's where we can up-level each other and support each other because for me, like cooking, that's a reflection of how I feel about myself. I'm like, am I liked enough? I'm getting all my validation externally, and I'm not filling my cup internally. And so I think that's a beautiful way, like you said, to kind of navigate your own brain, if you will.
Definitely. And I wonder if you tried cooking just for yourself, like literally just making yourself like one beautiful dish, like just to like test out the waters, that might be more enjoyable too.
Yeah, and if I like it, mm-hmm. like maybe some people are like, I don't love Moroccan food, but my girlfriend's Moroccan and I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And I don't have to love it, but it's like, I had a little dinner party last night and one of my girlfriends that came is a health coach and she cooked like a really healthy dish. It was amazing. It was so good. And I love what she said. She's like, cooking is one of my love languages. It's like my way of showing love. And I'm like, oh, that's really amazing. I love that cooking is like a love language or cooking is like a reflection of like how I can show up for you. Okay, so you're a content creator, but why did you get into the wellness space? Because you're at UC Berkeley, which is amazing. That's why I'm like, I love that this young person is coming on and helping me learn things about myself in a weird way. But you experienced something interesting about yourself when you were in the pandemic mm-hmm. with regard to being at UC Berkeley. Could you share a little bit of that story? Because I thought it was cool.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I feel like I have to go back a little bit into my upbringing. Like for me, family was everything. And like I have my core group of friends and all, but like for me, like family is so key. And having like my daily routines totally uprooted, going to college, it's so difficult. And also people always say college is going to be the best years of your life. And I was expecting that. And I was like, okay, it's going to be amazing. And
by the way, time out. That's a lot of pressure. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
Best years of your life.
And if
you're not having the best time, okay.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not having that experience, you're like, okay, what am I doing wrong? So for like the first year and a half, I was just like really lonely, honestly. Like I didn't have too many friends and cooking and the gym kind of became my life in an unhealthy way. It was very like extreme about it, but it was my passion. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to like try to share what I love. And it came about very organically, but still, college just wasn't the best for me. And then when like quarantine happened, I went home and I was like, wow, like I realized that I was just always thinking about what people thought of me in college. And I was like, okay, I felt the need to like, okay, I have to be at a party every weekend, I have to join a club. And that doesn't make me happy. I'm very introverted. But at the same time, when even though I wasn't doing those things, I felt the pressure, like that external, like what are they thinking about me? But then going back to like home, I was like, wow, I can just do my daily routines that I enjoy, being with my close group of friends, cooking, not going to parties, because it's okay. If you like parties, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too. I feel like that was just something I had to learn.
Yeah. And I love that you had that experience, because I went to college and I felt like my weekends had to consist of frat parties and social gatherings and like all of these things. And I think that's really in alignment with what we're talking about in serving yourself and staying true to yourself, because those frat parties, have at it, a lot of fun for some people, but like the idea of like, it was a very disorienting experience, right? Because you're basically finally free from your home life, living under your parents' roof, and so of course you're gonna go crazy. You have all these opportunities to like be independent. And it's interesting because this is exactly what I've been talking about with a lot of my friends, and having these deeper discussions of we live in a world where we need connection, we need relationships, we need social interaction. But if you don't know yourself enough, you tend to, or I'm speaking for myself, abandon yourself to fit in with a tribe. Mm-hmm. And how do you know you're fitting in with the right tribe? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe you're not like a guy that wants to be in a fraternity, mm-hmm. but he feels like he needs to have that group of validation or whatever that is, that society, in order for him to go like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm in this fraternity. And by the way, there are amazing fraternities. I'm just saying, if you're the guy or the girl that's not into the fraternity or the sorority, because I think that they can be absolutely wonderful places. I mean, I have friends that are in fraternities and sororities and all of that. So if it's just not the thing for you, but you do it because you feel like you have to. And that's what I found really interesting about you, Jazz, is you're only 21 and you kind of like, how did that happen? Because I think the thing for me with the pandemic and what I'm starting to really understand now is, how do I feel when I'm around that person or when I'm doing that thing? Because we grow up, especially I think as women, going, I need to be polite, or I need to be this, or I need to have done this already. Mm-hmm. And you're not really checking in with yourself and knowing if it's actually really right for you.
Yeah. And that's definitely difficult to know if it's right for you. I think, again, this is like trial and error, and I'm still like on this journey, but what I've found is that I'm not going to give my energy to people where interacting with them feels like a chore or like forced, like I'm changing, just to match their energy. But there's some people where you meet them automatically and you click, and I'm just searching for those people that it's just like, wow, like I could talk to you for hours and it's totally fine. Then with some other people, it's kind of forced. You don't have much in common, and that's okay. You can still be friendly and cordial, but I just don't give my energy to those people. I feel like that's something I've learned the hard way, because I was definitely a people pleaser, especially when I was like in my really early teens. I definitely wanted to be like the whole popular girl, like mm-hmm. that. And it was a learning experience, but I feel like now I'm just definitely in a space where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have my close circle of friends, I'm open to meeting new people, but if it's not that click that I just know it's like, okay, our vibes are exactly the same, and that's, yeah, you're not that's with everyone.
Yeah, and that's okay. You're just not gonna eat really good healthy food because no. But I think that that's the balance in life. The balance in life is maintaining autonomy or independence, and then respecting and loving your connection with that other person or friendship or whatever it is, but let them have their own wonderful independence, because I think we live in a society where we fear different, like people that are different, or they do something different. And that's why traveling is so great too, because you witness so many beautiful different ways of living and cultures and all of that. But that is really truly, I think, the hardest thing to do is to find the balance of connection, which is so healthy and fulfilling, the right kind of connection, right? And then maintaining like your own independent autonomy. And then you take the pandemic and you shake it all around. Because like, I think for me, I've come out, certainly slowed down and questioned a lot more things, but I think I have like more anxiety than I used to have, maybe. I don't know, but working on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love that. So you just decided you're in college and these things kind of came to you and you're like, I'm just going to fearlessly do it. I'm not going to worry about what people think. And your content is different than other people's content. We kind of talked about it a little bit. Like, why do you feel like what you share resonates with people so much?
I think, honestly, like one of the main reasons is because my audience, we talked about this yesterday, how it's really cool how my audience is like 95% women, ages 15 to like 25 or 30. So all of the people following me are either slightly younger than me and they see me kind of like maybe as an older sister or role model. A lot of people are just like in the same boat as me, experiencing this weird transition of like high school to college to real life where you have to get a job. And then some other people, again, still women, are just kind of maybe reflecting on someone that's a little bit younger than them going through life. And I feel like I wouldn't say my content is incredibly unique, because I'm really grateful that the community of girls on social media that I also follow that are content creators, they're very similar. Like we're all kind of friends, you know. There's like, I would say like 20 of us and we're all like connected. But I think what I'm really trying to do is just show balance, you know, and be upfront about when I'm struggling with something. So I'm not going to be like, okay, like, I don't know, I'm not going to pretend my life is perfect. Emma Chamberlain, she was a pioneer for that, you know, just showing that like life can be boring sometimes, you know, it's not always like crazy go, go, go. But I do have a focus on food, because food is my life and cooking is like my love language, like you said. And yeah, I just want to preach that you don't have to look a certain way to be healthy. It's all about feeling good. Like that's the main thing, not looking a certain way, because I've had my past with like under eating and over exercising, and just like, you know, I feel like so many girls go through that. Like every single girl I've talked to has been in a period in their life when they're just comparing themselves to other people, to Instagram models, dieting, you know, like all that stuff. Everyone, I would say like 90% of women go through that, if not more.
I know. And I worry about our younger. So I love that you're younger. You're someone that younger women can authentically look up to and go, oh, like I don't always have to put on the perfect front. There's that, like, that drives me crazy. That even, and I've talked about this, like even the supermodels put the filters on, and I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, I get it, and I have space and empathy, and totally, I've been there, and I've done that. And I think the difference between someone who doesn't want to show their substance and someone who's willing to be vulnerable, like those friends, they're gonna love you more because you're willing to get vulnerable with them, and there's relatability. I can't relate to you if you don't have any problems, because I have problems, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I love that that's something. Was that hard for you to decide that, almost in a way, or was it kind of like, nope, this is it, no brainer, like I'm gonna be totally myself and talk about the things that I struggle with?
Yeah, I would say it was a very slow process, because when I started on social media, this was like in 2020 when school went online, and I was just starting with workouts and recipes, because I'm a healing journey when like I went home for online college, because I'd been over exercising, under eating. I was not in a good headspace. So at first I was one of those like girls that were like, look, I just did a workout and I'm eating super clean, you know, like all those connotations. And I feel like my audience grew with me. So at first I did start and I was like, okay, like I look back on the post and I'm just like, oh, you know, like I was definitely one of those girls. So I feel like it was just a really natural progression. What really helped me just come to terms with being really vulnerable on social media was YouTube. I started that, I think, in summer of 2020. And I just post weekly vlogs up until today, every single Sunday. And it's just a way for me to show my life in a raw form. What I love doing on YouTube is kind of just getting clips of my day. Most of it is food. I post lots of like workouts and recipes on YouTube. But then on top of like those like clips, I'll just do like a stream of consciousness like voiceover. Maybe kind of like those voice notes that you like to send, you know, where you're just kind of like going about like what I was feeling during this day. And usually they're just like I said, stream of consciousness. So it's kind of like a journal. I think we talked about that yesterday, how like videos and just my content in general is really, I just try to be transparent, you know? I don't try to force the relatability. I think that's important because now relatability has kind of become like a trend where you're like, oh, look, I'm not perfect, but at the same time, you're still like cultivating this facade. But for me, it's just like blatant like transparency. I would say that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I want to be friends with women like that. That have the ability to, you know, to me, I think communication is so key. And when you can be still enough to go, oh, that happened to me today, and I think I could have handled it better. Like the other day, I like got mad at a car that I was I was parallel parking, and this guy just went right around me and almost hit my car, and I was like honked at him. Like, yeah. Why? You know, and I was like so enraged in that moment, and I that process for me was like that energetically my body felt threatened, so I was getting like fight or flight, and then I went, okay, feel it, cool, we're good, feel it, like it's okay, and then I was like, what happened right before where that would I would have even allowed for that to bother me? So even though I wasn't proud of myself that I got like angry at a guy that was just in a rush, I had the tool enough to recognize and go, okay, like forgive yourself. You're dealing with a lot, mm-hmm. And check in with yourself. And that's why I think the journaling or the voice notes, mm-hmm. Or having connection is so key, because you can talk about it, and then it opens the door for so many more amazing opportunities to like grow and learn and help another person. So I've already taken up way too much of your time. I promised you 20 minutes, but thank you. I think what you're doing, I think what you're doing for young women, for all women, is really helpful. And I think being comfortable in your skin, no matter what it looks like, is really so beautiful, to give other women permission, and then permission that like, hey, come on in, we're gonna love you no matter what. So keep doing you, girl, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Erin. This was really so cool, and yeah, let's do it again. I'm gonna be messaging you like, let me come on again.
Yes, and anytime, come to LA, we'll get you on another WCW, and I appreciate you. Thank you again. Have a good Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Okay. Mwah. Bye, Jazz.
Bye.